It's the John and Ken Show. John Cobelt and Ken Champeau. And in a little bit, we're going to talk about Ron Paul, the Texas congressman who is gaining ground in the polls. He may win the Iowa caucuses on January 3rd, based on his momentum right now and the passion of his supporters. But Ron Paul used to publish a newsletter for many years, and he didn't write the newsletter. Somebody wrote it for him, and boy, whoever wrote it,
well, the L.A. Times
highly
is
enraging.
particularly focused on one edition that came out after the L.A. riots of 1992.
Yeah.
And the way they wrote their editorial is a hoot. We'll talk about what's in it, what they think Ron Paul should do. We're also going to focus on Mitt Romney, who apparently told a radio show host today that Obama's aunt and uncle should be deported.
Here.
Hey.
All right.
That's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Oh, and in a few minutes, we'll tell you who is the first to pony up big dollars for Jerry Brown's tax increase initiative. Now, that's right. We'll tell you who the groups are. It's coming up in a few minutes. But now we're going to check in with Tim Donnelly, the Assemblyman, because today is another day to collect signatures en masse throughout Southern California to repeal the dreaded DREAM Act, otherwise known as Assembly Bill 131, and the website is stopab131.com.
This is $65 million of your tax money going to illegal alien college students, taken away from your kids.
Looks like 20 locations today. You find them at johnandken.com, and they'll be there till at least 7 o'clock collecting signatures.
Well, Tim, you ought to get a lot of signatures today because every freaking person on the planet was out shopping today. Jeez.
Yeah, it's really off the charts. We've got 20 locations. We got a bunch of new locations. We got one out in the San Fernando Valley. We've added, I think we've got 4 in Huntington Beach, including the Albertsons there at Yorktown and Golden West. But it's really amazing, how many people are willing to get involved and stand up and fight, especially when they find out that Jerry Brown wants to raise your taxes, and we don't even have the money for all this nonsense.
I know. Raise taxes and then give tens of millions to illegal alien college students. So johnandken.com is where the whole list, there's over 20 sites. Obviously no time to read all the details. So you should have access to the Internet by now. johnandken.com. You'll get the entire list. Are you getting good crowds?
We are. And tons of people. Here's the disturbing part. Some of the people are just walking up, haven't heard about it, didn't even know the bill passed. So we're asking those people to go home and do an email to all their family and friends. They're taking petitions with them. So this is going to be, if we're able to get this on the ballot, this will be an historic thing because you haven't had a referendum or a ballot initiative qualified by an almost purely volunteer effort at any given time in the past. So,
well, you don't have television coverage. See, most of the vast number of idiots out there, they only watch television for their information. Television doesn't cover this sort of thing.
Well,
and most people don't read either.
I see you are getting more media coverage.
We got some pretty good coverage in the L.A. television market. I was on Good Day L.A. twice, and we got tons of requests for petitions. We actually went from 7,000 people having requested petitions by mail, and then after the Good Day L.A. segment, 8,000 people.
Oh,
so
excellent.
I think a lot of people found out about it because the lady who's on there, Jillian, started arguing with me, and then the other hosts were like, oh, my gosh, how's this going to affect my kids?
Jillian started arguing with you?
She started arguing with me. The other hosts were on my side. And
wait, Jillian the weather girl wants our tax money to go to illegal alien college kids. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I'm not watching her weather anymore then.
I don't know, though. She's got a nice body, right?
Huh? I'm still not watching her weather. She wants to take my money away from my children?
I don't think, does she know anything about the DREAM Act? She's arguing with you, Tim, really?
This is I tell you, you're working hard. You're even arguing with the weather girls.
Yeah, not for nothing, but some of those morning TV shows, I mean, really.
Hey, I got 7-8 minutes on air. Let me tell you something amazing. We've been really focusing on drive and drop, like bring back your petitions. That's the biggest thing going, because with a volunteer effort, you get the petitions back at the last minute, or you get them back too late. So, you guys put it up on your website yesterday. We've got a brand new location we've been working for about 4 or 5 days, the Bass Pro Shop in Rancho, and we're getting 500 signatures a day out there, and 2 guys just pulled up and dropped off 100 signatures each.
And you get free bait when you bring signatures.
Bag of worms.
Oh, no, it's a great crowd. Oh, it's a phenomenal crowd. Everybody who's there is pretty much on our side, and they're lining up 10, 15 people deep. I've never seen anything like it.
Now,
so
you're gonna have to start moving into the tabulation and organizing stage because you just got a few weeks left here, right?
We are in the chase campaign. We have a team ready we have basically 2 weeks left, and you know what? It's not too late for people to still get petitions, get them signed, and we're basically sending out an email. So if you haven't gone to our website, stopab131.com, you need to go there, sign up for our email updates. You can still order petitions. We'll mail them to you, but you really need to mail them before the 31st.
If everybody who got a petition just had the 7 signature lines filled out and mailed it back in, you'd have what, about 2 million signatures?
Well, and that's the thing is everybody that I'm talking to right now that is listening to your program, you guys have a huge audience. If every one of you would just get a petition in your hands, it's not that complicated. You go on our website, stopab131.com, stick in your city. There's 5 locations near you. Get a petition, take it to your family and friends, mail it afterwards. We call it the 777 program. But you know what else? Take that thing and send it out to 7 people on your email list. Let people know this is how grassroots spreads, and this is how we win. This is how we get our voice heard, and because nobody else is going to do it for us.
No.
So if you're listening, it's you.
That's right. Everybody listening has to take action here. If you want to repeal the DREAM Act, you must take action. If you've got these petitions, fill out the signature lines and send them back in. No fooling. We've got a very short period of time, 2 weeks. We need a lot of signatures. If everybody does, I think when you ask for a petition, you've made a commitment here. Just follow through on the commitment. Fill out the signature lines and mail it back in, and then we'll have a done deal. It's not that complicated.
Yeah, and if you're driving out in the Chino area, boom, pull off at the Chino Walmart. We've got the Eastville Vons just came online. People were demanding. There's so much demand out there in that area. And so we've got a place, and we're going to have, you go to our website, you'll find a place you can drop off your petition. You don't even have to waste 45 or 43 cents on a stamp. I know they're going up to 45 cents after the first of the year. You don't even have to waste the money on a stamp. Drop it back off with one of our volunteers. You can see where we are on a daily basis. This is one of those things where literally we're right at that tipping point where if enough people just follow through on that commitment, get your petitions back in. Hey, the 26th, isn't that one of the biggest shopping days of the year?
Yeah, return days,
all the returns, right.
Yeah. Hey, return your petitions.
All right, Tim.
Carry on, Tim. We'll talk with you soon.
Hey, great. Thanks a lot, guys. You guys have a Merry Christmas.
You too.
Now, just as a follow-up talking about media exposure, last Sunday, the L.A. Times did a story on what Tim Donnelly and his volunteers are doing to repeal AB 131. And who do you think wrote it, John?
Paloma Esquivel.
It was written by Paloma Esquivel, who, by the way, in an email to another one of our listeners last year, admitted that in college she was a Mecha member.
I think she was president of her local Mecha clan.
She did. She admitted that.
Yeah, and Mecha's a racist organization.
And the way she wrote this story, it starts with the Pasadena event, which I guess Tim was at. The rain smudged their signs. They were shouted at by a driver who called them racist, and the turnout was lower than they'd hoped, but they were undaunted. On their side was a radio campaign and a small number of determined folks who arrived steadily despite the weather. And it goes on to explain what the DREAM Act is and the efforts by Tim Donnelly and all the volunteers to get this on the ballot, how many signatures they need. Then another sentence, well, 2 other sentences stood out. They have to get 500,000 valid signatures by the first week of January. Whether they'll meet that goal is unclear. And then, in the biggest hoot in the article, how such a ballot initiative would do at the polls is unclear. Wait, hold on. A recent USC Dornsife LA Times survey found a majority of voters, 55%, oppose the act. So I don't think it's unclear when you get 55% that want to repeal it.
It's a 15-point margin. It's 55-40. Paloma Esquivel, she's the one who started the story with the Spanish activists a few months ago, and there was all kinds of missing information in that story. She's a bad writer.
They send the Mecha lady out to do the...
Yeah, in fact, I'm looking up this email exchange here.
The one I was just mentioning?
Yeah, because I saved it.
Yeah, I think it was from 2010, if I recall. 2010, 2011. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 20
The email exchange was from May of 2010, and it was over a story she wrote about the Arizona bill that aims at ethnic studies program.
That's right. It was over SB 1070. Oh, no, the ethnic studies program. That was a different bill, right?
Yeah, and so she admitted that because this guy here, this guy who was exchanging emails told her that one of the rallying cries for Mecha is, for those outside the Mexican race, nothing. For those outside the Mexican race, nothing. And then she wrote back, it's difficult for me to accept that people would simply cite a few lines out of documents without looking at the totality of the organization. It's as if people talking about the founding of the United States were to continually cite the fact that the Constitution embraced slavery and argue that one fact negates everything else the country represents. But she was a member of Mecha, and at the time she's a member, that it may still be. That was their slogan. That's the motto. For those outside the Mexican race, nothing. I mean, slavery was excised from the United States Constitution 150 years ago. But Paloma Esquivel was very comfortable when she was in school with a group that says, for those outside the Mexican race, nothing. And now she's apparently the lead immigration writer at the Los Angeles Times and wrote a horribly misleading, inaccurate, non-factual fact omission. There were so many facts omitted from the article she did on us that I know she's up to no good. I know personally she's up to no good because I know exactly what she chose to withhold from that article. And we're never going to forget that. And we're going to be on her case for every one of these articles because she is bad news at the LA Times. And if that's who they want as their immigration writer, we've got her under a microscope.
All right, when we come back, Jerry Brown has already grabbed a big pile of money to get that tax initiative on the ballot next year. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about how it looks like the fix was in. Remember the redistricting initiative that many of you voted for, the citizens panel? Well, it looks like, at least in the congressional one, the Democrats infiltrated and got their way over the new district maps. Talk about all this coming up.
John and Ken Show, KFI.